Summer is coming to an end, and fall is here with all of its warm, vibrant colors and cool evenings. And with those cool evenings, we tend to spend more time in our homes and more time looking at those little things we ignored all through the warm days of summer. I'm Lucille Zucchero, and joining me today is Barbara Lazara, who is not only a resident of Addison, but an interior decorator who's going to help us fall in love with our homes again.
Yes, I am. Hi, thank you for inviting me today, Lucille.
Well, I'm excited, Barbara, because
I am too. It's the perfect time of year where people start thinking about, they're stuck in the house, and then things start bothering people.
Oh, bothers me. I mean, it's like what didn't bother me all summer long. It's like, oh my, that's really looking worn out.
Exactly. And so paint colors are starting, people want a warmer feeling. They're kind of cozy. Their palette changes. They go from grilling to soups and stews. And it's the same warm feeling that people want from their home at this time of year. They start feeling pull out the blankets.
You're hunkering down for the long winter.
You are.
In the summer you smell the flowers, and you like brighter colors because you're smelling the flowers, and you cook differently. You cook outdoors more. Yes. And starting in the fall, you start, like you said, with the stews and the pot roasts and the meals in a pot that makes the whole house feel warm. Now you look at those colors that are no longer what you liked.
And that's what usually happens, and people are timid and they're shy about changing things up. So they go from another season to another season, kind of like in distress, thinking, well, I wish I did something, where all they need to do is contact somebody similar to what I do.
Well, the thing is I'm afraid to make those changes. And I think a lot of people are afraid to make those changes because you're afraid of making a mistake. Yes, paint is probably the least expensive change you can make, but you have to hire a painter, you have to pick a color. That could take me weeks to paint one wall just to get the idea. And I'm still afraid to do it.
And that's true, because then, people they've come at me even with all these paint swatches because they couldn't make their decision. And people seem to they seem to think hiring a decorator is going to be way out of their budget, when in the long run, it's probably the least expensive thing they could have done. One thing that is good is that I'm a people business. I like to start a relationship with my client. I get a feel from the way you live to your what you do. Do you entertain? Do you have small children? Do you have a formal area or a casual area? What do you want to do? I kind of draw these things out of people. We partner together, and we have a timeline. So yes, the job will be finished. So you take the idea from its inception? Conception to completion.
To completion.
Yes.
Which is important, and sometimes it can take longer than you think, because I really don't know what I like. I'm trying to find myself in my home, and I'm trying to feel that comfort zone. Is that what you help me do?
Well, this is where partnering and having a relationship. There's something in your home that inspired you to even make the change. It might be a new piece of furniture. It might be a painting. Something has inspired a change. So what I do is I come alongside. I find out why you're motivated to do it now, what has motivated you, and we kind of move from there. So I partner with you. I get a feel, again, for the way you live and what you do, and I kind of pull it all together. But the nice thing about it is I stay with you till the very end, till it's done. You're not left on your own.
See, and that to me is important, because yes, I can pick out the chair, and I can pick out the upholstery, and I get to that point, but now I put it in the room, and it's not where it should be. It's not
completed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this is where it should be. And let's be real honest, most of our community is in homes that we can afford.
That's right.
And we didn't buy that home that we loved because we really couldn't afford it. So I want to make the home that I have truly something that I love to be in. And I think that's not that difficult to do. with your help.
And that's just it, is that when people buy a piece of furniture, they expect it to last. When people buy, let's say, a dining room set, they're not going to be changing it out. And they really want the room to reflect it. This is where I come in with my expertise. I help you pick out a set that you're comfortable with that's going to be usable or museum quality.
Well, museum quality in my home wouldn't work. There's too many people.
Yeah, and that's the important thing that you have to. And room size is also a big consideration. How many times do people buy furniture that's too big?
Well, that's it, and then you're bumping into it.
Yeah, and then it
just
the
size
looks
of the room.
Closed in, and it's not functional. And with my expertise, that's what I do. Is I help people create the space they've always dreamed of.
Now, the other thing is too, is people have things in their home that they really don't want to eliminate. Can you help work with what they've got and bring things in that they have and just put them in the right places?
And that's exactly what I was saying is that there's usually an inspiration piece that gets people motivated. So sometimes it's just restaging the room, for lack of a better term. So just moving furniture around to help it fit the room better, and then add the pieces, or maybe just change out your drapery, or maybe just change out your window treatment, paint the room. That you can determine these things, and I can help you. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. It's my passion to do. So, and then in the end, you'll be happy with what you decided, and you're a part of it. So you'll have that feeling of accomplishment.
And the things that I have that I've gotten comfortable with
will be there.
Will be there. And I know as you get older, those comfort zone things that you have, they make you feel good about being in your home.
And
they're just things, but they're part of you, and they make you
and
feel
sometimes they
comfortable.
just need relocated.
That's,
you know, they should be there. Maybe they shouldn't be in the middle of the table. Maybe they should be off to a fireplace, or, you know, they can be relocated, look fresh, look new, add something to it, take away something, freshen it up, but keep it.
And I think very often, this is something that I know I do. You go out and you get something new because you think you need something new. And then you put it in, it's like, you put it in the room and it's like, it's not quite right.
No.
Because you really probably didn't need something new. You needed to put something better in a better place.
And that's all. That's probably all you needed to. It's okay to add something or take away from something, but when you have a vision to where it should be located, then you would kind of think to yourself, well, is it to scale? You know, is it big enough? Is it small enough?
And see, that's another thing. I think sometimes people either think too big or they think too small.
I get more too small.
I think too small. I think too small.
People are very conservative in their thinking, where they don't take the full space into consideration rather than just focusing on the one item. You know, so it's actually that one item can be a blessing or a curse depending on how it's put there. And I usually can tell when I walk in a person's home, the layout, and something will strike me right away, like, oh, that shouldn't be there. It's not balanced.
See, it would strike you, and then we just get accustomed to it.
Right, because it might bother you, but you just don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
So because you don't know what to do with it, you're just going to live with it.
Well, I'll tell you one room that just, one room that just boggles my mind. It's the kitchen. The kitchen seems to be the heart of everyone's home. And I have a saying, no matter where I serve my guests, they seem to like my kitchen best. No matter how big it is or how small it is, everybody gathers in the kitchen, and usually around the stove.
And usually around the stove. That is so true. That is so true.
And it's just, that's the room that everybody is in, and that's the room that gets to me most. It's like, I got to do something different with this, but I don't know what I want to do because I'm always busy in it.
And that's true. It's when you really recognize how much you want to change a room when you're entertaining, because otherwise it's day to day. Get up, go to work, you know, change up the room.
One or the other.
Right, it goes from one
extreme.
to. But then when you know people are coming over, then you're like, oh, I wish I painted. I wish I did this, you know. And so actually, that's what you could do. Is sometimes you need a whole remodel. Sometimes you just need a paint. Sometimes you just need new window treatments. Sometimes.
I think if you start in your kitchen, it flows.
It does.
And your kitchen flows, because your kitchen flows from where you serve the food, which is a dining room or a dining area, into a living room or a den, because now you've got to go rest before you have the dessert, you know, so it kind of...
And you kind of want people to meander around other rooms. You don't want them just staying in one room.
I'd like them to meander out of the kitchen so I can clean up the mess a little bit. I don't think that's okay. That's okay.
That's something I haven't even mastered yet. I put food everywhere, but they're all in the kitchen.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
That's just a good thing.
Well, it is. It's the warm, fuzzy, like,
it's the warm, friendly
that's what they
thing.
remember.
But I know you've recently done a really whole kitchen remodel.
Yes, we did. Changed the footprints of a kitchen. I had a U-shaped kitchen that I worked with, and I changed it, well, it was more of an L shape, and changed it more into a U shape.
How did you do that?
And we tore down walls. We changed the footprint. First, what we went for is we gutted the kitchen.
Okay, we have some pictures of this.
Yes,
but
we do.
You know what? Wait, is this the one where, this is the beginning of the kitchen, where there really, it was just a typical, where you have a doorway from your kitchen into your dining room?
And it was a house of the early 80s, so that was a lot of arches.
Very typical.
A lot of arches, and the arches were small, and they defined the room. And then what I did in this remodel is well, I'm going to go with the dining room first of all, because it flows into the kitchen now. It actually had wing walls. So I had maybe 3 feet walls to arch out, and then 3 feet walls from the left and to the right. So when you went from the dining room entertaining into the living room, you had this block of wall that actually divided people, because these people have a table that went all the way out. We talked about these things. So they went all the way into the dining room, but they had this block of wall.
So when you have to open your table, you're actually into the living room.
There was somebody on this side and somebody on this side. There was a wall.
So you took those 2 walls away?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yes, we did. We took the 2 walls, we opened it up. There is no more wing walls. And the flow from the kitchen to the dining room just opened it up completely. We also did the same thing. They want to open floor plan by the kitchen entrance, so we removed a wall and added a staircase. So it was an open plan right there. It just opened that whole area up. What we did by changing the footprint of this remodel is we actually look like it's a bigger kitchen, and it's not.
It's the same kitchen.
Properly laid out now and functional.
And I noticed too that it did not have an island in the beginning. It had like a small peninsula, and it wasn't very big, and it really it didn't. In the pictures, it doesn't look like it's something that you would actually sit down and eat at, where the island is. And
well, there's 2 full for the island, but the peninsula, if you can see by the pictures, had hanging cabinets. It wasn't functional. It wasn't functional because it was hanging cabinets, so you had to like crouch.
Okay, so you're looking
to work.
Okay, again, you're not opening the space. You're closing in the space.
You're closing in the space. It wasn't functional, and it limited your counter space for working. And by pulling that out, taking down the cabinets, and installing an island, you actually have more working space.
Well, I can see that. I can see that with the before and after pictures, because
you have more work.
It's not in your way.
The island is not in your way. There's a flow when you walk in. You can walk from one side of the island or the other side of the island. There isn't a block.
And you put the kitchen, the stovetop.
We put the stovetop on the island to give us more counter space, and also this allows for when you're entertaining people to stay on that side of the stove.
They stay. I can see that. They stay on that side of the stove. So
right, you put all the food on the island, and you stay on that side of the stove. Yeah. But I don't know if that happened.
But that's really not a bad idea.
But that's a thinking. And what they did is it allowed, where the stovetop used to be was under the microwave, so that allowed that to all be counter space now.
Okay, it really opened it up. And now, did you use, and I can't see in the pictures, but did you go all the way up to the ceiling with the cabinets?
Yes, we did. We had your standard, I believe, a 36-inch cabinets. Okay. We went to a 42 and put crown molding around them to finish them up completely, so there would be no space for dust to collect. We added lighting more of a floodlight and a direct light and an ambient light to set this. Lighting is very important in a space. So if you just have your typical one light in the working task area and then one light in the eating area, it's not functional. So you have to spread out the light as much as you can in the kitchen.
Because you actually need to see throughout the kitchen.
You need to see it. You have to have task lighting, and then over a table you don't really want that bright light. You want more of a mood lighting, but enough to see. And then you want spotlights. If you can do a spotlight, it's nice to have them.
Where would you put a spotlight in the kitchen?
Well, in this remodel, what we did is we put up track lighting. And it was track lighting allowed us to put spotlighting on the cabinets.
Okay, so you can feature the wood in the cabinet,
the wood and you can move it so that if you need an overall lighting, you have that in the kitchen.
And then the kitchen, as you said, I can't believe the difference, because I see the photograph of the old doorway that goes from the kitchen into the dining room. So you're in the kitchen, you're really not enjoying your guests in the dining room.
You're not.
So you opened that wall, so the dining room is actually now part of the kitchen, formal, but part of the kitchen.
That's what we did. And then what we were able to do, because we tore down that wall, we had the refrigerator there. We were able to put up a coffee center. So the coffee center is another cabinet with deep drawers. We were able to put cabinets over it, and we actually have there as a beverage center, a coffee center.
A beverage center used to be called like a small butler pantry
it
area.
It is. It's very nice. And then on the other side where we had a garbage can, we were able to put up a broom closet because we only needed about 8 inches of space.
So the garbage can comes out of the kitchen and into the broom closet with the brooms where it's not visible.
Well, yeah, the garbage can actually has its own cabinet now.
A garbage cabinet.
It has its own cabinet. So you don't see that, and you shouldn't need to see a garbage can in a kitchen.
No.
If you have the ability to conceal it. So we were able to use, when we were done with this, even though this kitchen started out with a big pantry, very functional, we actually have more smart space in this remodel than what we had before. And because we were able to utilize the cabinets to their full capacity.
So you're using the cabinets, gaining counter space.
Gaining counter
eliminating
space.
the pantry, which I think, if that were me, I would be very frightened to eliminate a pantry because you depend on the space, but you actually have more space.
Well, we actually have more space because there was unusable space. We had, in this remodel before, we had blind cabinets. And I don't know if the viewers know what a blind cabinet is. It's where one comes to a corner and one completely goes to the back, to the wall, but you can't put anything back there unless it's buried.
Yeah, and if it's buried back there, you're going to forget it back there and not use it.
And we have the same thing of the blind cabinet, except this time we installed a swing-out Lazy Susan.
Okay.
So it totally swings out, so you can put things on 2 shelves that swing out.
And you can find them when you need them.
Yeah, they're accessible.
That helps.
They're accessible. And then in other areas, we were able to do, again, we eliminated a Lazy Susan in the corner, which you'll see in this one. We eliminated it. And what we did is we put up short shelves that go in an L frame. So there are 3 shelves, and they're in an L frame, and they're total functional, and they don't get lost. Nothing gets lost in the background.
See, that makes
to the back.
When it gets pushed to the back, and that is kind of what you do to a pantry.
That's what you do.
You know, there's always something in the back, and unless you have roll-out shelves, which sometimes be too much weight on them, and they would topple over. And
well, that's true.
Yeah.
And then where you put your dishes, we actually utilized the end of the cabinet to put the dishes by the table, which makes sense.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. So what we did is we did a lot of smart things in this kitchen.
Do you have a kitchen table in this kitchen, or is it basically counter?
No, we have a kitchen table.
You have a table in the kitchen too, okay? Because I don't see that in the photographs. So you still have an eating kitchen.
Yes.
And the dining room.
Yes.
And how many chairs do you have around the table? Just because I need to know how many seats.
Oh, well, I actually have in this space, I have put a country table, and it's an actual dining room table. So it does come with 6 seats.
Oh, so you're still able to sit 6 in the kitchen?
Actually 8. We fit 10 in there. So.
Because, you know, it's important when you have a family and you have kids, you eat in the kitchen.
Yes, you do.
You know, granted,
Yes,
you
you
have
do.
this beautiful dining room, but you don't eat in there every day. You eat in the kitchen, and it's important to have more than 3 or 4 seats in the kitchen.
Oh, that is for sure. And one thing, you know, if I can also, what sells a home, if you were to sell it, would be your kitchen and your baths. They actually puts money back into your home. So any money you put into your kitchen, you will get it back eventually, and same with your bathroom. So if you're going to put money into a home, you know, and if you have the money to do a remodel, otherwise you could spruce up and you know, get the
But
same
that's what
effect.
you're there to help us
Right.
do. You're
You
there
could
to
transition.
this is how much I have to spend, and I can tell you this is what I have now.
Right.
Can we talk about this flowing into the next redo or remodel that I'm going to be working with? So I'm not spending it all at one time.
Exactly.
That's important
It
too,
is very
because it's
important.
all a matter of budgeting and you know, doing the right thing at the right time. I can't do it all at one time.
Well, that's one thing, you know, working with an interior decorator, same as myself, is that it helps when the client has a budget, because it's really my goal, if it's a reasonable budget, not to go over
But sometimes people don't really know what to budget for certain things. But if they get an idea of where they can start, now you can tell them, this will cost you this much this year, you can do that.
Right.
Next year, you can plan. I wouldn't know where to start planning a budget unless I know what things are going to actually cost.
That's true. That's true.
So that's where
sometimes your dreams are bigger than your pocketbook.
They're always bigger than my pocketbook. That's just, in my opinion, it's called economic development, and I keep developing that economy. You know,
That's so true.
But you know, there's so much to talk about. But I want to tell everyone that Barbara and I will be back next month, and we'll be talking about making your home the place you want to be in for the fall harvest season. She's going to show us how to dress up our home for the fall season.
For the fall season, for Thanksgiving entertaining. I have some tips regarding that. And you know what? You can find a lot of things in nature to decorate the fall with, and I'm going to be showing you that also.
Well, that's what we're coming back to talk about the next time. And she's going to dress up our set, because our set really hasn't been dressed up for fall yet. Oh. So you didn't know that, did you?
Well, okay.
You're gonna dress up our set for fall. And then one other thing I want to tell everyone, that in February, the Village will be hosting a home expo show. Barbara, who did not know this until right now, will be invited to be there. It will be a home expo show where we will talk to window people, gutters, home improvements in every way, because not all of us need one thing and or the other. We all have different things that we need in our home. So sometime in February, we're going to be doing a home expo here at the Village Hall. And Barbara, I'm glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lucille Zucchero with Barbara Lazara.
Inspired Windows.
Inspired Windows, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.